नमस्कार मित्रों, मैं हूं कुमार भवेश चंद और आप देख रहे हैं न्यूज़ पॉइंट। न्यूज़ पॉइंट में आज चर्चा करेंगे चुनाव नतीजों की, क्योंकि चुनाव के नतीजे जो आए हैं उसकी चर्चा अभी तक हो रही है और इसकी चर्चा होनी भी चाहिए। दरअसल वैसे तो सारे चुनाव खास होते हैं, लेकिन ये चुनाव कुछ खास था। कुछ मुद्दे ऐसे थे जिन पर देश मंथन कर रहा था और उसके बाद ये नतीजा आया है और इसीलिए इस चुनाव की चर्चा ज़्यादा हो रही है और चुनाव के बाद उसके परिणामों की समीक्षा हो रही है कि जनता ने क्या सोचकर वोट किया है। और ये समीक्षा सिर्फ आम लोग नहीं कर रहे हैं, ये एक्सपर्ट भी कर रहे हैं और ये होना भी चाहिए। और ये इसलिए हो रहा है क्योंकि इस नतीजे से बनने वाली सरकार के ऊपर किस तरह का नैतिक दबाव बनाया जाए, किस तरह जनता ने संदेश दिया है इन चुनावों के जरिए, उनके कौन से मुद्दे थे जो बड़े अहम थे और जिन सवालों पर उन लोगों ने वोट किया है, उन सवालों में आपका सवाल क्या है और आपका सवाल जो है वो कितना इम्पोर्टेंट रहा, इसको आपके वो सवाल समाज का सवाल बन पाया कि नहीं बन पाया। ये बहुत सारे सवाल थे जिन पर अभी चर्चा हो रही है और इन चर्चाओं के बीच में कुछ एक्सपर्ट्स की चर्चा मैं लेकर आया हूं, जो चर्चा कहीं हुई है। द मीडिया फोरम फाउंडेशन में इसकी चर्चा हुई है, सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट का एक ग्रुप है और उस ग्रुप में इस बड़ी चर्चा में बहुत सारे सवाल पर मंथन हुआ और बहुत सारे एक्सपर्ट इस मंथन में जुटे हुए थे। भारत भूषण इस चर्चा को होस्ट कर रहे थे। द मीडिया फाउंडेशन की ओर से जो ये चर्चा हुई उसको होस्ट कर रहे थे भारत भूषण, जो बहुत ही सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट हैं, हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स में एडिटर भी रहे हैं। और इस चर्चा में जो पैनलिस्ट थे वो और भी बड़ा था। इस चर्चा में पैनलिस्ट के तौर पर हरीश खरे शामिल थे, सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट, और प्रधानमंत्री मनमोहन सिंह जब प्रधानमंत्री थे उनके मीडिया सलाहकार थे और भी हरीश खरे की बड़ी भूमिका रही है, बड़े सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट हैं। पूर्णिमा जोशी भी सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट हैं, वो भी इस चर्चा में शामिल रहीं। इसके अलावा दक्षिण पंथी राजनीति में दखल रखने वाले शेषाद्रिचारी का नाम आपने सुना होगा। सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट भी हैं, वो लेखक भी हैं और एक राजनीतिक की हैसियत से भी वो इन सारी चीजों में दखल रखते हैं, एक अच्छी पैठ रखते हैं। तो दक्षिण विचारधारा को भी इसमें अछूता नहीं रखा गया। तो इस चर्चा में वो सब शामिल हुए और मैं ये चर्चा आपको दिखाऊंगा। और इस चर्चा में जो इन एक्सपर्ट्स ने जो ओपनिंग रिमार्क्स दिए, उसके अलावा बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट था और बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग था कि इस चर्चा में दर्शकों ने जो हिस्सा लिया, जो दर्शक भी बड़े खास थे, सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट थे दिल्ली के, चूंकि ये दिल्ली में ये चर्चा हो रही थी तो बड़े सीनियर जर्नलिस्ट इसमें हिस्सा ले रहे थे। इसके अलावा जो सोशलाइट है वो इसमें हिस्सा ले रहे थे। तो एक समाज के बड़े तबके का इसमें बड़ी हिस्सेदारी रही और इसलिए ये चर्चा जो है बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग रही। और मैंने जब इस चर्चा को देखा तो मैंने सोचा कि ये चर्चा मैं आप तक भी पहुंचाऊंगा और ये आप तक पहुंचाना जरूरी है, क्योंकि आप भी शायद ऐसे सवालों पर मंथन कर रहे होंगे। मैं मानता हूं कि द इंडियन पोस्ट में जो है जिस तरह से हम लोगों ने एक चर्चा का इसको मंच बनाया है, जिसमें तमाम उन विषयों पर चर्चा होती है जिन विषयों को लेकर समाज में राजनीति, समाज, अर्थव्यवस्था से जुड़े हुए लोग मंथन करते हैं, तो उन सवालों पर प्रमुखता से विचार करते हैं। और वो इसीलिए मैं ऐसे सवालों को लेकर आपके सामने आता हूं और मुझे लगता है ये जो चर्चा मैं आपके सामने रखने जा रहा हूं, जो चर्चा द मीडिया फाउंडेशन की ओर से चर्चा हुई थी, और उस चर्चा का वो हिस्सा मैं आपके सामने रख रहा हूं जिसमें एक पब्लिक मंथन हो रहा है। पब्लिक ने किस तरह के सवाल पूछे, उनके लिए किस तरह के सवाल इंपॉर्टेंट थे और वो चुनावों को कैसे देख रहे थे, वो इन नतीजों को कैसे देख रहे थे, ये सवाल लोगों के सामने था। और वो सवाल किस तरह से पूछे गए और उनका जवाब एक्सपर्ट्स ने कैसे दिया है, ये आप देख पाएंगे। तो मैं उस चर्चा को आपके सामने रख रहा हूँ। और लेकिन उससे पहले मैं जरा आपको बता दूं, एक बार फिर बता दूं कि इस चर्चा बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है। भारत भूषण इस चर्चा में शामिल थे और उस चर्चा में योगेंद्र यादव
So Bashiruddin Ahmad
मैं आपके
once
सामने
told
रख
me
रहा हूं।
something, and he said, he used to joke and say, "Tum socialist log," pointing to people like me. So he said, idiots like you think that all the good things in history are done by good people and all the bad things are done by bad people. He said this is the most idiotic view of history. He said, go read history. Most of the good things were done by very bad people. And I think there's some point there. Yes, this election was pure politics. Yes, previous election was pure politics. I cannot think of any election in this country which was not pure politics, and I would not want any election in this country which is not pure politics. Yes, most of those who are contesting elections are contesting with some personal, some collective ambitions. But in saying all these things, Chari Saab, we are not making statement about 2024. We are making statements about human history, nature of politics, nature of humankind, and so on. What we are here to explain is what is the difference in 2024. And to my mind, it is if issues operate, they do not operate because politicians decide to suspend to be politicians, because power games suddenly cease. No. It is in and through those power games that issues are played all the time in human history. What were the issues this time? I think I raised 2 or 3 things. One, livelihood concerns. People felt that what was being shown to them on television was not their own life. Unemployment, price rise. Incidentally, price rise is India's code word for poverty and lack of purchasing power. It has nothing to do with what economists call inflation. Unemployment, poverty, state of farmers. And then specifically, so people looked at it and said, and in fact, most of them said, Desh aage badh raha hai. Meri halat kharab hai. And that is the real thing. That's the power of media. मेरे पास कुछ नहीं है, मेरे पड़ोसी के पास कुछ नहीं है, मगर देश आगे बढ़ रहा है. मैं समाजवादी को वोट दूंगा, ये कांग्रेस को वोट देंगे, वो भी बीजेपी को वोट नहीं देंगे, लेकिन आएगा तो मोदी. This is what was happening. So livelihood issues were real issues. And for a change, people said, okay, we've waited enough. In Uttar Pradesh, my sense was that, and I was actually amazed when I discovered the kind of things you were describing, because I discovered the same things. And I said, yaar, ye sari cheezein to 2022 mein bhi thi. What's new? And honestly, I still cannot answer the question, why is it that people decided that Avara Pashu, which was very much an issue in 22, inflation, berojgari, why they decided to suspend those things in 22, and why it became an active principle in 24. Some historian will have to answer it at some point. But it got triggered. Second, at the lower level, BJP's local leaders are about as unpopular as Congress leaders used to be a few decades ago. It just stinks at the local level. That's a point I think Harish has also made. People can smell it. And third, I made that point about specific sectoral grievances of farmers, of Dalits, of Muslims. And if you look at the aggregate impact of it, it's huge. So something was happening. So when we say issue-less elections, sometimes either they are issues we don't want to look at, or, for example, I would not say Odisha is an issue-less election. BJP raised an issue. BJP has succeeded. There was an issue. BJP must have done something to get those votes in Odisha. So I think it's usually issues that either we can't see or we don't want to see.
Right. Thank you very much. I'm not going to summarize this brilliant discussion. It's beyond my ken. So I will throw the discussion. Hold on a minute. To you guys, you can ask questions. Do not make speeches, please. Don't give me your analysis of the election. If you have anything to ask these panelists, please do so. But using my privileges, the first person I'll call upon to actually make a comment is Kumar Ketkar, former member of parliament, who 4 months ago, much before elections were announced in this room, had said that BJP will not get 240. What, did you have a dream then, or what happened? Kumar Ketkar.
Well, I don't believe what I think.
Is there a microphone?
No, it's all right. I just calculated on the basis of what was happening. I've been covering election almost for the last 40 years. And that's why I was just calculating and came not with a hunch, but with some sort of calculation. And I was extremely happy when the same figure was arrived at by Villarreal. So I think that was it and nothing more. And as he very correctly said, I share the same thing. I am not greatly hopeful of the new combination, and I don't believe that the so-called contradictions in this coalition will topple the government. I don't think so. Modi is capable of bulldozing with them on us.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, identify yourself and then ask a question. And ask a question once you have a mic in your hand, because this is being recorded.
I just want to tell my name is Praveen
Sir,
Davar.
पीछे आपके पीछे पहले मैंने बुलाया, उनको दीजिए. Thank you.
My name is Shurjit Nandi. I have a question that is an anti-expert question. All of you on the panel seem to have in various ways have predicted the outcome of this election, but I think a lot of the people, including myself, were very surprised. And had we known what the outcome would have been, the result might have been quite different if we had known what the outcome was going to be. So I'm wondering whether that's something that power tries to negate, the sense of what is actually on the ground. And if so, is there some technological or other manner in which regular humans, not exalted analysts like yourselves, can actually have a better sense of what is true on the ground 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years into the election? Thank you.
Vidhi, you want to take that?
Can I take that?
Yeah.
Thank you for saying this, because that's exactly my hunch. If the media of this country was half honest, and if at the beginning of elections, they were, instead of saying 400 par, 400 par, 400 par, instead of that, they had said, this is a close contest, we do not know what would happen, then the result would not have been 235 seats for India. It would have been definitely 270 seats, 275 seats for India. And instead of 290 for NDA, it would have been 230, 220 for NDA. This is the power of media. This is the power of communication. What can ordinary people do? I said that again and again in every single, what amazes me, and behind I can see Philip Oldenburg, who taught me this some years ago, many decades ago. What amazes me, and this is addressed to everyone, that everyone loves to talk about elections. India has about 2 crore psephologists, at least, on last count. Everyone loves to talk about politics. Everyone has an opinion about public opinion, and no one bothers to speak to public. No one, honestly. Everywhere. Philip Oldenburg has a great article, and I would urge all of you to read it. This was written after 1984
Professor Oldenburg,
election.
raise your hand so that people know who you are. There he is in that corner, hiding there. One of the most brilliant experts.
He has an article. I'll summarize it in 3 sentences. In 1984, no newspaper, no journalist got it right. Philip Oldenburg investigated why. And he said the problem is that there are 3 people: journalists, politicians, and locally informed persons. These 3 speak to each other and decide what is the wave. None of them bothers to actually speak to ordinary people. So, my friend, the easiest thing that anyone could have done, like Purnima did, go to that tailor's shop, बैठो थोड़ा सा, बात करो, उनको वेंट करने दो शुरू में, उसके बाद आखिर में पूछो, अच्छा फिर क्या करेंगे? Indians love to speak. They would tell you what they really believe in. All this nonsense about voters don't tell you this and that is complete nonsense. The voters love to speak in this country. It's you who do not have patience. So I had said after this, what Purnima mentioned, I said to everyone, I said, look, this is my projection, but I'm a political activist. Why should you believe me? Please don't believe me. Why don't you step out, speak to 10 BJP voters of the past and ask them, are you going to vote this time? Speak to 10 Samajwadi Party Congress voters, ask them, what are you going to do today? My answers was, Throughout my travel in Uttar Pradesh, after speaking to hundreds and hundreds of people, because we were a team, we would fan out to different tolas of every village. I did not meet one person. Actually, I met just one. It's a strange, funny story, but that's a different matter. Not one person who said I had voted for Samajwadi Party and or Congress in the past, and I'm not going to vote for this time. Everyone was sticking to that. And when you spoke to BJP voters, every third or fourth or fifth would say, "Is baar nahi dunga." It was that simple. It is, while it is very difficult, and I think today is a day when you can discount polls and say we don't need polls. I don't believe in any such thing. Or scientific sample surveys are very critical things. They are extremely useful. No polls. I mean, I may have got it right this time by a bit of a fluke, but no one can actually say you need a thermometer to say whether it's 101.8 or 102.4. You need thermometers, and surveys are those thermometers. But you just have to put your hand on the forehead to say ki bukhar hai ki nahi hai. The problem is, why did the media of this country not do this? माथे पे हाथ लगा के तो देख लेते, वो क्यों नहीं किया? That is what worries me.
ठीक है, thank you. So,
Just one small addition.
I just want to
No, this is a
request
good
journalists in
question.
this room, after hearing Yogendra Yadav, please don't make exit pollsters cry on TV. It's not a good thing to do.
that's- No, exit poll is something that after the polls are over. But his question is
Not a question, so
yeah, it's a
answers also need to be short, please.
pre-media these things. You know, there are certain instances that media all over the world, the media has not been able to predict or never predicted. The fall of Berlin Wall. I don't see any article before the fall of Berlin Wall saying that on this day the Berlin Wall is going to fall. Disintegration of USSR. SALT II agreement was taking place between US and USSR. And after 3 months of the SALT agreement signature, USSR disintegrated. Nobody predicted in the US. I don't see any article. You can go to Google and see no article which predicts that, look, don't discuss about SALT. It's no use. Anyway, it's going to disintegrate. It never happened. I'll tell you, show me one media article in 2004. There could have been one or two, but in general, the media never predicted 2004 results. 1977, no media, and that time, of course, the media was not even free. But nobody predicted that Mrs. Gandhi is going to lose. To that extent, the media is free now. Why no media predicted this?
So let's Captain Dawar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name is Praveen Davar. Everybody knows I'm an army officer turned congressman. I also run a paper called The Secular Savior, and the last heading was 10 reasons why Modi should go. Unfortunately, Modi has not gone.
No
My
advertisement.
question
We're going to
is-
charge you for it. Ask your question, please.
And I want to tell Mr. Seshadri, I was one of the principal campaigners of the Congress party in some of the states. The issues were there. Unemployment was a very big issue. Price rise was a big issue. The promises which the Congress made as manifesto was a very big issue. The issues were there. My question is to Mr. Yogendra Yadav. If the India alliance had coordinated better, do you think they would have done better? That's all.
All right.
The simple answer is yes. There was a lot that could have been done. The only question is, I'm not entirely sure how much to expect from India alliance leaders who did not even know whether next morning their candidate would withdraw the nomination, whether ED would raid and such like. They were more worried about their account being defrozen and things of that kind. So in that situation, you can end up over expecting. So I don't know. But yes, what I would have liked, to my mind, post Bharat Jodo Yatra, post Karnataka, and post the formation of India coalition, which had rattled the BJP straight away, there was a great opportunity. I would have liked two or three things from India coalition that did not happen. Number one, a declaration to the nation about 4 or 5 big policy promises to the country, which Congress did towards the end, and which they did in Uttar Pradesh 10 days before the last phase. 10 kilo ration denge. If this was announced 6 months before the election by all the parties put together. So some kind, not a joint manifesto, but at least 4 or 5 big promises joint promises by India coalition to the country would have made a difference. Number two, some ground action, not just press conferences. I mean, 140 MPs are being thrown off the parliament. And what we have is a jantar mantar thing, which even we do. You know, I mean, these are parties which are capable of bringing lakhs of people on the street. So I would have wanted to see some things on the street. And third, I would have expected seat sharing discussions not to be prolonged till the last minute. There was absolutely no need. Much of a certain section of media was like vultures waiting for these things to be picked up and flashed. So why do this? So to my mind, if these things had happened, we could have easily seen 10 or 20 more seats for the India. So in that sense, yes, there is a disappointment.
Thank you. Sunil Mehra.
With the exception of some notable people like the Caravan or the Citizen or the Wire, very, very few, cherry pick those. The fact remains that most of the media has been absolutely disgusting. My question is, even in the last 2 days, I've seen the brazenness and the coarseness of the discourse, the vulgarity, which was a commonplace feature of our print media and of our electronic media, has actually perceptibly cooled down in 2 days. However, I want to know, given the reprehensible ownership patterns of 99% of our media at this point of time, is there any hope of us finding space to breathe or to write? Many of us have given up writing in disgust.
So what's the
Do you
question?
see a space?
What's the question, Sunil?
Do we see a space opening up for media?
Yeah,
now?
so who are you asking? Harish?
I'm asking Yogendra.
Yogendra, okay.
And of course,
He should
Harish,
be
who
I
I
think Harish.
Harish,
He
who
knows
I
it
hugely
infinitely
admire
more than I do.
for being the stalwart, I read you with such respect, sir.
Yeah.
Do you see a space for people like you and people like us opening up now?
No, I don't see. But let's not be pessimistic about it. The point is that it's anytime the executive is on a slightly weaker wicket, other stakeholders become, use that nice Hindi expression, chora. They all become, so I expect judiciary to become more quote unquote independent. High court judges would become more assertive. Even election commission, don't be too surprised if they start behaving differently. They are time servers. So they are good at smelling which way the wind is blowing. So, but let's not, that Mr. Modi is being underwritten for last 10 years by the most obnoxious, brazen, corporate conglomeration, which in any country we have, except maybe Russia or so. So they will, don't underestimate the power of big money in supporting party politics, party loyalties.
Thank you. Parsa Venkateshwar Rao Jr.
This question is.
Okay, just he wants to say something.
Sorry, Harish, I really beg to differ. I'm not as senior a journalist as you are, or many other senior journalists here. But let me tell you, however powerful or dictatorial a person would be in this country, in spite of all his dictatorial capabilities and powers, or misuse of power, there should be some spine in judiciary, some spine in media. This country's media has stood against Mrs. Indira Gandhi. This country's Jagmohan Lal Sinha stood against Mrs. Indira Gandhi. He was the one who gave the verdict against Mrs. Gandhi. So don't tell me that, after the emergency, it was said that they were asked to bend and they were ready to crawl.
I'll give you a list of journalists sacked, editors sacked by this government got sacked. So let's not go there and make this bald claims.
I think to say that the media is being stifled and all that is only half of the story. The other half is, like Yogendra Yadav said, I would, and if 10,000 media personnels or even 500 media personnels are on the road against all these things, believe me, I am prepared to lead them.
Exactly. Okay, let's not have any crosstalk. Parsa.
This question is for Mr. Chari. How important is the Modi factor for the BJP in the last 3 elections, and what is the impact on the Modi factor for the BJP in this election after this outcome?
Importance of Modi factor in the last 3 elections.
Yeah, Modi factor
14,
for the
19.
BJP,
How
not for the
important is
country.
it?
What is the Modi factor? Is he so important for the BJP that he led the victory? And what does it mean in this latest election?
I think 2014, 2019, it was only the Modi factor which led to this, the kind of campaign that he could lead. So it was very obvious that happened. And 2024 also, the party expected that it's going to be a vote for Modi. And I think the party still believes that this vote was for Modi. Had not this happened, it's always an if. You can always think only in terms of what would have happened. But had Modi not campaigned so much, probably, and the same sort of results, let us say, would have come even in that case. Even there, the people would have said, तो हमने तो पहले ही कहा था आपने मोदी को साइडलाइन किया इसीलिए ऐसा हुआ. आरएसएस ने मोदी को साइडलाइन किया, अभी कुछ नहीं किया तो भी हम कह रहे हैं आरएसएस ने किया, और अगर ऐसा होता तो that would have happened. So see, it whether we like it or not, every political party has this leadership campaign. I mean, there is one person who leads the party, and he is the leader of the party. So it prevails. That is the kind of politics. Those who are experts on social philosophy and all that could probably explain it further, why the Indian society always needs a leader to lead.
So Giriraj Jain used to say, Sheshadri, that India suffers from a king emperor syndrome. So
I think the only party which does not depend on a leader, but depends only on its ideology, is the Communist Party in this country.
Okay.
But very unfortunately, you see what happens. I may not agree with the ideology of the Communist Party at all, but for want of proper leadership, that party is losing and lost its political space.
Next question. This
Yes, so
lady here.
I put forward my.
Please identify yourself and then ask your question.
Yes, my name is Neha, and I put forward this question in front of the esteemed panel in order to understand the political landscape in Madhya Pradesh. क्योंकि I did not hear a lot of understanding कि जो वहाँ पर जो आदिवासी समाज है वहाँ पर किस तरीके से चीजें चल रही हैं, because ultimately it is not about कि सत्ता में कौन आ रहा है या फिर कौन एक इंसान संभाल रहा है देश को, but about कि what are the developmental goals that we speak about, and we did speak about Dalits, but what about Bhil, Bhilala, Patalia, Saharia, to mention some of the tribes. और जब हम बात भी करते हैं कि मध्य प्रदेश जैसा वहाँ पर बहुत ज्यादा हमें चेंज देखने में नहीं आया है, which party is currently there and for how long it has served, and why is it that their other parties are not able to come and take that space, given वहाँ की जो developmental physical infrastructures, health, education, all of these things have not improved a lot.
ठीक है, सवाल आ गया आपको. तो योगेंद्र जी आप जवाब देंगे?
Yeah. ऐसा कर ले.
Okay, all right. So the person in the brown shirt here. Please.
Thank you for an interesting and insightful talk. My question actually emerges from Mr. Harish's comment about Muslim voting pattern, which he seems to say wonderful. I'm quite hesitant about it. Just like the senior India leaders are quite hesitant to take the name Muslim, yet to thank or to say anything or any comment about the largest community, which is approximately 200 million in the country, have voted for them. Rahul Gandhi especially haven't mentioned Muslim in his post-election, post-counting press conferences. And this also makes me wonder questions about should Muslims even vote for these secular parties anymore? The second thing that comes is that
सवाल बताओ यार.
we are stuck again, like as a Muslim, we are stuck again with limited choices and trapped in voting for the candidate or party they may not align with, rather than taking up their issues of representation into the parliament.
Okay. No, hold on a minute. No. Here, Gargi Parsai.
In the context of what next that Yogendra ji said, I want to ask Khare Saab, what do you make of Nitish Kumar touching Modi's feet today at the NDA meeting and stymieing all leaders and empowering Modi like never before?
Okay, so there was this gentleman in white shirt. You wanted to ask a question? Okay, all right. There.
Yeah, somebody mentioned about the Muslim vote.
Identify yourself.
Cherian. My name
You're a
is
famous
Cherian.
man, but-
I used to be. Supposed to be a senior journalist. Somebody mentioned about the Muslim vote. So I think only Harish Khare ji mentioned that. I happened to be there in the Jamaat office on the weekend when Ayodhya Pran Pratishta was so-called Pran Pratishta was happening. There was a seminar called "The Future of Indian Secularism." It was very interesting. Apart from Muslims, there were others. One thing came out very clearly there, that Indian Muslims are going to vote for their self-respect. It's very clear in that room. There's a small room, maybe 50, 100 people. They're leaders of the community. And my question is simple, that nobody, as he says, nobody acknowledges that. And I know that Yogendra knows in he analyzes everything. There are 65 seats which has more than 30% Muslim voters. And no media ever looks up this, that how many of them are with BJP. Earlier, it was about 40 of them were with BJP. No media looks up even that. So what is that whole thing? And one thing one has realized is this election, anything has been done to media, it is that I don't believe anything which comes in the media about anything.
Your question is over.
Yes.
Na? Yeah, okay. One more question.
Yeah. Credible voice like Yogendra Yadav loses in the electoral politics. What it takes, is it that Moti Chamri, this is, I
right.
want to ask, because we have wanted to see him. Unfortunately, he lost. He's here for us.
Okay,
That's it.
so
Thank you.
now let's have some answers. Then maybe we'll take 2 or 3 more questions.
2014. Sir?
Harish?
I don't know what question I'm asking, replying.
You can reply to any.
I don't know about Nitish. I'm sorry, I don't watch television, so I didn't see Nitish Kumar ji touching.
But she wouldn't be lying. So
She won't.
Yeah.
True. No, but I mean, this is we have as a society, we have become very ritualified society. We need to do this, and Mr. Nitish Kumar has his days. Sometimes he's off, sometimes he's on.
all right. About the Muslim question. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Now, the Muslim question. Should Muslims be acknowledged publicly by political parties if they voted for them?
Yeah, this is a game which has been going on for last 40, 50 years. One of the most unsettled question of Indian statecraft is the relationship between the majority and the minority. And what are the terms of those equations? This is something which has not been settled. You do too much of quote-unquote Muslim politics, then there's a counter-polarization. So this is a game which, the good thing about I see in this, the Muslim politicians, people like Owaisi and all that, they have been totally, and when Benji played that game of, they are Muslims has understood what it is at stake. Irrespective of whether any political party acknowledges them or not, come to their content. They understood what the last 10 years of this whole project Modi project was all about. It is anti-Muslim. Mr. Modi has built his career from 2002 to 2014 in Gujarat on a pure, simple anti-Muslim politics. Model Vikas Vagara, that comes secondary. Yeah. So that's what it is.
Purnima, should Muslims be acknowledged?
I think it's a highly, highly intelligent electorate which has voted strategically. It has, and I'm not so sure whether acknowledgement. I mean, this is the situation one finds oneself in, where you have a regime which has appropriated all structures of power and is targeting a certain community. In that, whether to be acknowledged or whether to vote them out and vote alongside people who think alike you and choose your representatives properly. I don't have the answer for it. I think the community itself has done so remarkably well in the sense of being so intelligent about their voting patterns, about how they have acted in the elections. So I'm not sure whether acknowledgement itself is required or whether voting them out is the first priority, which should be there for all right-minded people, including the Muslims.
Okay, thanks. Sheshaji?
I think this question about Muslim and Muslim in politics winning and all those things needs a lot of time to discuss. There are so many other wheels within wheels as far as this particular issue is concerned. But I'm not answering this question per se, but I'm just saying that in 2004, there were 35 Muslim MPs. In 2019, there were 26 Muslim MPs, and 2024, 24 Muslim MPs. In terms of percentage, 2004, 6.89, 2019, 5%, and now it has gone to 4.4%. Now, BJP has not given any seat ticket to any Muslim. Fine. So what about the non-BJP parties? So-called, quote-unquote, the secular parties. Even they have not given enough number of representations and seats to the Muslims. Why they have not given? Probably they also think that by let us say I give 100 seats to Muslims and my strike rate is going to be 3%. So I'm going to lose 97 seats, which no political party will take a risk. So both the political establishment, and I think Yogendra tells me that the only time there were 40 Muslim MPs was during Rajiv Gandhi's time. 49 or
would you like to add something to that? Quickly.
Just very quickly, there's a paradox of black politics in the US, and the paradox is this: Republicans know that blacks won't vote for them, therefore they don't do anything for them. Democrats know that they have no choice except to vote for them, therefore they don't do anything about them.
Thank you. Now we'll take 3 more questions. We are already running out of time. Rajesh Joshi.
मेरा नाम राजेश जोशी है और मैं शेषाद्री चारी जी से मेरा सवाल है। पिछले तमाम वर्षों से 1986 से अयोध्या राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ और भारतीय जनता पार्टी के लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण केंद्र रहा है, और इस बार अयोध्या के लोगों ने भारतीय जनता पार्टी को खारिज कर दिया है। तो मेरा सवाल आपसे यह है कि क्या राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ को हिंदू मानस को समझने के में जो गलती उससे हुई है उस पर दोबारा नजर डालनी चाहिए? जिस तरह से हिंदुओं को उग्र तेवर दे रहे हैं राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ के विचार और राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ के लोग, क्या उस पर दोबारा नजर डालनी चाहिए कि हिंदू मिजाज ऐसा है नहीं जैसा आप बनाना चाहते हैं?
Okay, so there's a question here.
Thank you so much. I have a question which is slightly provocative. Has the presence of the word Samvidhan, Arakshan, dismantling of public institutions, and the state of free speech actually raised the priority of constitutional politics in India, or do you think constitutional morality is merely a convenient shoulder from where the shots have been fired?
नाम तो बताएं अपना.
My name is Satya.
Satya. Right at the back.
सर, नॉर्थ इंडिया में जहां जहां पे भी कांग्रेस अकेली चुनाव लड़ी, उसके साथ मान लो कोई क्षेत्रीय दल नहीं था या कोई आंदोलन का साथ नहीं था, वहां पे कांग्रेस साफ होती चली गई। मध्य प्रदेश, गुजरात, छत्तीसगढ़, उत्तराखंड, हिमाचल। सर ये एक क्या कारण है इसका? एक तो कि मतलब उसको क्षेत्रीय दलों का साथ मिलता है, या फिर कोई जैसे किसान आंदोलन था हरियाणा, राजस्थान के एक हिस्से में उसने बढ़िया परफॉर्म करा, और पंजाब में भी। दूसरा सवाल मेरा ये है कि सर
एक सवाल
बस एक छोटा इसी में सर, इसी में ही है कि पिछले 1 साल से देख रहे हैं कि जो सिविल सोसाइटी का सेक्शन है, सारे पत्रकार और आप सारे बैठे हो, प्रोफेसर, एकेडमिशियन, ऐसा लग रहा है जैसे अपनी जनता से 10 साल पीछे चल रहे हो आप लोग। जो ग्राउंड पे चल रहा है वो समझ नहीं पा रहे हो। इसका कारण क्या है?
ठीक है
कि सच में ये मतलब इस पूरे सेक्शन में मीडियोक्रेसी आ गई है या फिर कोई और चक्कर है?
सवाल आ गई। ये डॉक्टर डुडेजा।
चारी जी, मोदी जी ने पिछले टाइम 75 की एज पे सबको रिटायर किया था, तो अभी he is going to be 75 and he is dependent on 2 opportunistic people. Don't you think they will lose their Muslim vote? And
मुस्लिम वोट था ही नहीं उनके पास।
they are
अच्छा, those guys. Okay, all right. सर इधर आप सवाल पूछना चाहते थे।
वानप्रस्थ आश्रम का जो अपने हिंदू धर्म में है, ये क्या बीजेपी वाले उसको मानेंगे?
अच्छा ठीक है, डॉक्टर सुब्रमण्यम है। Yeah. So let me moderate, madam. Either you come here and moderate, or let me do it. Okay, all right.
Bharat, thank you very much. I have a question on the judiciary, which I want Yogendra Yadav to look at. I was a member of the Citizens Tribunal on Gujarat 2002, and we produced a 3-volume report which found Modi to be completely guilty of this thing. The matter went up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court appointed only one police officer to look in the crime against humanity by Narendra Modi. And they appointed one police officer, and the police officer said the Prime Minister is not guilty of any cognizable offense. So how can judiciary like this, judiciary of this kind, deliver justice in India?
Okay.
I don't find it.
The lady in black. Who's the lady in black?
Yeah.
Oh, piche. Yeah, this one. Okay.
Thank you. I'm Shireen. So first thing, Mr. Yogendra Yadav said that I would have not dared to be in such conference like Mr. Cherry has dared to be here. So it's because Mr. Cherry knows he would not be lynched here and he would be alive. If Yogendra Yadav would have been there, he would have not been alive to come back. So that's why he could come here, Mr. Cherry.
No, that's unfair.
The question is like, Mr. Cherry, I mean, you were saying that there were no issues in elections. So I do really not understand how you are so unaware, or you're being like pretending you don't know issues in our country, how unemployment rate is rising. I mean, how the inflation is there, how people are suiciding, and how we are doing in hunger index. So these are not the issues for you. Only the Ram Mandir and Hindu Sena, and these are the issues for you. राम मंदिर बन गया, सब खत्म हो गया, चलो ठीक है, अब सब सेट हो गया 50 years के लिए. This was the issue only. You don't know the issues currently going on in country, and what we are facing nowadays, the young people and the educated people who are unemployed nowadays. Don't you know these things?
Thank you. Okay, now let's have.
Hello, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I'm
one
going
last
to.
question here. One last. Okay, yeah.
I'm going to take the mic and ask a question because you are not allowing us to speak.
Madam, we are running out of time.
No,
8 o'clock we are
I
supposed to
understand.
vacate this
I
hall.
understand.
Yeah.
Firstly, Yogendra, I want to ask you whether you found an urban-rural difference in terms of people having the confidence to speak out. I mean, in India International Center, which is quite open to discussion, in the cafe, people say, "Baat nahi kar sakte." You know, it's a mahal of terror and fear and violence. This is not even Muslims we are talking about. We are talking about each and every individual in this country. So I'm asking you this question, and we'll leave the other questions for later.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much for an amazing panel. And I'll go back to the first question asked by Surojit and ask about polling on a ex-post basis. You know, you talked about the David versus Goliath. So as we're having conversations with our friends who are in center or the BJP, and there was this very specious argument made by someone that the 95% student got 90 and, they're feeling bad and the class failed got 40%. And the reality is, as you said, that it was such an unfair election with the EC, with media, with muscle, with all of this. Is there any way to quantify that and to show that, look, if it wasn't 100 to 1x on the money or so on, maybe in a particular geography where it was more fair, to at least explain to people that what the quantification of this could have been?
Last question, the gentleman here. We are running out of time. I would love to sit with you guys here, but what can we do? The room is rented only till 8 o'clock.
बहुत प्रबुद्ध लोग यहाँ बैठे हैं. मैं सिर्फ सिंपल बात कहना चाहता हूँ. ये जो टोटल विश्लेषण हम कर रहे हैं, तो मेरा विश्लेषण मैं ये कहता हूँ कि यूपी के अंदर मुस्लिम वोट और जाटा वोट जो कंसोलिडेटेड हुआ है 35 सीटों पे, उसके सिवा कोई और फैक्टर है? क्योंकि अगर एम्प्लॉयमेंट फैक्टर है, ये फैक्टर है, तो वो एमपी में भी होना चाहिए था, वो उड़ीसा में भी होना चाहिए था. मुझे आपको नहीं लगता कि ये सिर्फ मुस्लिम वोट एक मुश्त वो जाटा वोट के जाने से, जो कि अच्छी बात है, ऐसा हुआ है? What do you think?
Thank you. Now, 30 seconds each, please answer this. I know it's unfair, but what can we do? Look at the time. Look at what those clocks are saying.
Which question?
Choose one. Choose one.
Choose
one. Don't answer all of them. I think you should answer
okay.
Shireen's question here. Here, she said you're safe here. She feels unsafe.
I take a strong exception to what you said. No.
More importantly, she said that don't you know what the issues in this country are when you say there are no issues in this country?
No. See, the question is not what I know and what I do not know. We are discussing BJP and other parties. We are not discussing me. I am not the person to decide what the BJP should decide. I am not here. I'm not part of the BJP's manifesto committee and all that. But the simple point that I'm trying to make is employment was an issue. Price rise was an issue. And Yogendraji very rightly said there is a difference between price rise and inflation, but price rise was an issue. But no political party really went to polls with these issues because every political party was afraid. I'm repeating it, afraid that if only this issue will not give me the kind of seats that I want. And that this election, like many other previous elections, was not fought on one issue, one constituency. There were 543 constituencies and 543 issues. So this is the truth, ultimate truth of politics in this country. We should remember this. And as that particular gentleman, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, he pointed out, if unemployment was an issue, you think there is no question of unemployment in Orissa and Madhya Pradesh and Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand? So these issues are there. So we should know. The politicians finally know कि ये सीट जीतने के लिए मुझे क्या झूठ बोलना पड़ेगा. I will say.
Chalo, I'm glad. On that honest note, let me move to.
You remember that finally. And in this, if you think the BJP has been better telling jutes, it is a fact.
Okay.
And if you think the Congress is better in telling jute as far as 99 seats are concerned, they are good.
Okay, thank you.
That's
all right. We have
issues
no
are
time,
not framed necessarily by political parties. In big elections, people can form issues. This was one line that I heard everywhere that I went, and you must have heard that too. कि पार्टियां नहीं, पब्लिक ये चुनाव लड़ रही है. This is what was happening. It is incorrect to reduce it to any social chemistry of Muslims and Jatavs. Yes, that mattered, but no. Issues do affect, and there is no scientific evidence to show that only castes change. Castes change because issues affect them. It did not affect all the states. It did affect swing away in practically all the states. But that swing does not translate into seats because the margins were different and so on. And finally, when there is a big crisis in any republic of the world, not just India, in the first instance, institutions can be relied upon. But in the last instance, when there is a crisis of the very foundations of the republic of the kind that we face, parliaments do not come to the rescue, political parties are inadequate, judiciary also cannot be relied upon. In the last instance, public has to hit the street to defend the republic. This is not just India, all over the world.
All right, last word to you, Harish.
I think very simple. This election was whether we're going to be a moral republic or immoral republic. For 10 years, politics of immorality was practiced and socialized. Today, the people, as Yogendra says, have spoken against it. It's about also against the political elites. So it's a political elites across the party line, and they're all guilty of practicing immoral politics. So hopefully, all other constitutional stakeholders, institutions would read and act accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You've been a brilliant audience. कौन सा?
Ayodhya.
नहीं, आपका देखिए, एक अयोध्या राजनीतिक परिणाम जो अयोध्या के संदर्भ में हुए हैं वो एक अलग विषय है, वो वोटों की राजनीति है। बट जो आपने कहा कि जिस तरीके का एक नैरेटिव हिंदू समाज के बारे में क्रिएट कर रहा है आरएसएस कोई नैरेटिव क्रिएट नहीं कर रहा है, कृपा करके वो समझ लीजिए। इसलिए वो नहीं कर रहा है, आरएसएस नहीं कर रहा है। और हिंदू, और देखिए हिंदू समाज पर आरएसएस का कोई वो नहीं है, ठेका नहीं है। कल अगर आप हिंदुओं का संगठन करना चाहते हैं और हिंदुओं का रिप्रेजेंट करना चाहते हैं तो आप कर सकते हैं। इसीलिए
राजेश प्लीज,
अगर आपको देखिए आरएसएस पर, राजेश जी आरएसएस पर अगर चर्चा करनी है तो उसके लिए एक अलग सत्र हो सकता है, अलग से सत्र हो सकता है। और सुन लीजिए, जितना मैंने आरएसएस का काम किया है और जितने अन्य लोगों ने काम किया है, जितना हिंदू समाज में लोगों ने काम किया है, मैं अभी भी कहता हूं आरएसएस ने कभी ये नहीं कहा कि हिंदू समाज पर हमारा ठेका है। हिंदू समाज पर किसी संगठन या किसी संस्था या किसी शंकराचार्य का ठेका नहीं है।
ओके,
ये मैं कह सकता हूं। हाँ, जहां तक राजनीति और हिंदुत्व का सवाल है वो अलग विषय है।
ओके,
वो अलग विषय है।
छोड़िए इसको। See, there's so many things which we can continue, but let me begin by especially thanking Seshadri. He's not a BJP representative. He's come here.
तो बड़ी दिलचस्प चर्चा रही है और इस चर्चा को देखिए कि अब समाप्त हो गया, लेकिन अभी भी जो है वो जो मुद्दे चुनाव के दौरान हवा में थे और वो मुद्दे अभी लोगों के बीच में रहेंगे और लोग इसी तरह की चर्चा करते रहेंगे और सवाल पूछते रहेंगे कि उनके मुद्दे चुनाव में कहाँ थे और क्या उन मुद्दों पर लोगों का जनमत नहीं आया। तो ये चुनाव जो है तमाम तरह के मुद्दों पर था और तमाम मुद्दे जो है प्रासंगिक थे और सभी अपने अपने मुद्दे को लेकर चुनाव कर रहे थे और इसीलिए ये पूरे देश में अलग अलग राज्यों में अलग अलग तरीके से उसके नतीजे देखने को मिले। ज़मीन पर जिस तरह से रिजल्ट्स आए वो दिखाई दिया। किसी राज्य में भारतीय जनता पार्टी की पराजय हुई तो किसी राज्य में भारतीय जनता पार्टी की ऐसी विजय हुई जो उससे पहले नहीं हुई थी। मध्य प्रदेश में तमाम सीटें भारतीय जनता पार्टी जीत गई, राजस्थान माफ कीजिएगा हिमाचल प्रदेश में तमाम सीटें जीत गई, दिल्ली में तमाम तरह के विवाद आम आदमी पार्टी के अरविंद केजरीवाल को जेल भेजने के बावजूद भारतीय जनता पार्टी 7 की 7 सीटें जीत गई। तो मुद्दे अलग अलग जगहों पे अलग अलग तरीके से काम कर रहे थे और ये चर्चा बड़ी दिलचस्प थी, इसीलिए मैंने सोचा कि ये चर्चा मैं आप तक पहुंचाऊं। और इस चर्चा में खास तौर पे जो सवाल आ रहे थे दर्शकों के, जो दर्शक बड़े प्रबुद्ध थे, उसमें से कई तो पत्रकार थे, कई और जुड़े हुए लोग थे जो अलग अलग समाज से जुड़े हुए लोग थे और वो सवाल पूछ रहे थे और ये सवाल बड़े इंटरेस्टिंग थे और उनके जवाब भी बड़े रोचक और प्रासंगिक जवाब दिए गए और इसीलिए मैंने सोचा कि ये पूरी जो चर्चा है वो आपके सामने रखूं। लेकिन इससे पहले चर्चा जब ये पब्लिक फोरम के लिए खोला गया, जब लोगों के सवाल पूछे गए, उससे पहले भी एक अच्छी चर्चा हुई। हरीश खड़े ने, भारत भूषण ने तो मॉडरेट किया, भारत भूषण ने इस चर्चा का होस्ट किया, हरीश खड़े ने इस पर अपनी बात रखी है, पूर्णिमा जोशी ने अपनी बात रखी है चुनावों के दरमियान। उनका एक्सपीरियंस क्या रहा, वो जब फील्ड में निकली तो उनको क्या उन्होंने पढ़ा, क्या देखा, क्या समझा, उसके बारे में बताया है। शेषाद्रिचारी जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी में सक्रिय रूप से राजनीति करते रहे, संघ में लंबे समय तक रहे, वो इस चुनाव को कैसे देखते हैं, वो इस चुनाव को कैसे समझते हैं, उन्होंने एक्सप्लेन किया। उसके अलावा योगेंद्र यादव जिनका जो है फोरकास्ट बड़ा सटीक रहा, कम से कम भारतीय जनता पार्टी के हिसाब से कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी को कितनी सीटें मिलेंगी। उन्होंने आखिरी बार कहा था, आखिरी तौर पर फाइनल उन्होंने जो फिगर पेश किया था वो 240 के आसपास था और वही सीटें भारतीय जनता पार्टी को मिली। तो ये बड़ी रोचक चर्चा थी और इसीलिए मैंने इसको आपके सामने पेश किया। आपको ये चर्चा कैसी लगी ये बताइएगा और मैं इस चर्चा को यहाँ विराम दे रहा हूँ, लेकिन मैं आपसे अनुरोध करना चाहता हूँ कि अगर आपको हमारी ये चर्चाएं अच्छी लगती हैं और आपको लगता है कि हम लोग कुछ एक विमर्श खड़ा करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, एक चर्चा को आगे बढ़ाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, तो आप ज़रूर इस वीडियो को और लोगों के साथ शेयर कीजिएगा। और अगर आपने अभी तक हमारा चैनल सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है और आप इस कार्यक्रम को, हमारे कार्यक्रमों को पसंद करते हैं, तो ज़रूर इसको सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिए और इसका बेल आइकन भी दबा दीजिएगा, ताकि जब भी हम कोई चर्चा करें, कई बार ऐसा होता है कि हम लोग पहले से तैयार नहीं होते हैं, लेकिन कोई ऐसा विषय हमें लगता है कि इस पर बात करनी चाहिए तो हम अचानक प्रोग्राम शेड्यूल कर देते हैं और वो ऐसी चर्चाएं आपको, उसके लिए आपको नोटिफिकेशन मिल जाया करेगा। तो बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। इसी तरह की चर्चा, इसी तरह के विमर्श और इसी तरह के सवाल के साथ हम आपको फिर मिलेंगे। तब तक के लिए नमस्कार।